Hey, this is for Mr. Bainey's Connects You, and then also Mrs. Walters Connects You. Welcome to week 6. What we want to talk about this week is implementing our plan. So, as we have done so far, we've already talked about starting to think about planning those and getting those ready to go. So now we're going to actually implement those. So by the end of the week, we're going to be able to identify your preferred learning style and explain several characteristics of that learning style. So as we said, we've already set our goal. We've already made a plan on how we're going to follow through with that. Now we're going to actually do it right here, which is the learn. So implementing the plan. So during this phase, we're going to walk through the steps that you've outlined in your plan and learn. We're going to adjust our plans as needed, and as I'm sure all of you can tell, the way that we envision things and the way that we plan things are not always the way that they happen. So we always have to be able to adjust. So, learning at CPDLF, which is entirely online. According to the elearningindustry.com, you should know the norms and expectations of your cyber school, and that is part of what this course is about. This is what our orientation is about. So you need to be willing, or you need to become tech savvy. So it's no longer an excuse to say, well, I'm just computer illiterate, or my mom and dad are computer illiterate. In the 21st century learning, that just doesn't cut it anymore. Okay? You need to be able to work with others effectively, and that means working online. That means working face-to-face. You can't hide behind a camera on the screen. All right? You can't turn it off and just pretend to be doing something else. All right, so you need to learn to work effectively. You need to stay organized, and you need to submit your assignments on time. You need to be self-disciplined. All right, ultimately, it's you that makes the decision to get up in the morning early and to start working. Okay, and this, is something that we're learning and we deal with the rest of our lives, and it's something that you're going to do for the rest of your lives. And if you're not willing to do these things, you likely will not be a very successful cyber learner. All right, so I want you to take a look at those and sort of give yourself a rank. How are you at doing those? Because if you're not good at it, then they need to change. All right, and we are here to help you try to do that. Right. So know your learning styles and study accordingly. So there are 3 main styles. The first one is visual. This is obviously someone who sees something. The next one is auditory, which is listening, and the third one is kinesthetic, which is all about movements. All right. So some people are visual learners. I can watch a video, and I learn it. Other people are auditory learners, meaning that if I listen to a podcast, I can learn it. Or kinesthetic is I actually have to do it. I have to come up with something. Typically, people who work with their hands, mechanics, are usually kinesthetic learners. So visual learners use images, maps, graphs, organizers to access this information. Part of the strengths of that is that they're easily visualize those objects. They're good organizers typically. They're usually color-oriented, and they pay great attention to detail. Visual learners might color code their notebooks. They also might keep their notebook. They usually keep their notebooks organized. They study the charts, graphs, and tables on the maps. They draw pictures or diagrams to occupy the information that they're trying to learn. And they watch documentaries or videos. Typically, people who can watch a movie and learn from that are visual learners. And they make to-do lists. Also, they like to typically study in solitude, meaning that they need to have it quiet. They need to have the little, they get mad at the little brother who's, running around making noise. All right, auditory learners learn best through new content, such when they are listening or speaking in situations, such as lectures. All right, so remember the teacher that used to stand up front and say, "Okay, class, today we're going to talk about macroeconomics." So typically they learn best by hearing, all right? Their strengths are typically they're good at explaining ideas. They're typically good at writing or storytelling, listening directions, all right? So some of the study strategies for here is to work in quiet areas to reduce distractions. Typically they use mnemonics, like every good boy does fine. It's just something to help you remember. They use rhymes, they use jingles, they use text-to-speech apps to assist with the reading. And if you don't have one and you need one, there is one in Odysseyware, but we also have access to those. If you do need one, if you think that you're an auditory learner and want to give it a shot, by all means. They use voice typing on Google Docs, and you all have access to Google Drive or Google Docs, and there is a tool there that I know that we made a video previously on how to do some of that stuff on Google Docs. So you can literally just talk into your computer and it will type for you. And auditory learners attend instructional Zoom sessions and ask questions. They watch and listen to instructor launches. They read their notes out loud. And if you're really not sure if you're an auditory learner, one thing you can think about is whether or not you're a musician. If you like music and it's easy for you to pick up music, and they have what you call a natural ear, probably you are a auditory learner. And the last one is a kinesthetic learner, and they learn best by hands-on activities and tactile representations. All right, and when we talk about tactile, it means touching and feeling. So usually they have good hand-eye coordination, quick reactions. They're good at sports. They usually have a high level of energy. They perform well in arts and drama, and they like to experiment. So a study strategy for this would be to stand instead of sit, right? Typically they combine physical activity with studying. So if you are listening to a podcast, put on your headphones and go for a walk, all right? You can have your family's member ask you questions, while you're shooting baskets or while you're, running or on the treadmill or whatever. Usually you have to keep your hands busy, bounce a tennis ball, if you have a fidget spinner. The reflection for this week is, in what ways could CPDLF improve its ability to meet your unique needs so that you are successful in school? And as you answer that question, I want you to think about your own learning style. What ways could we improve your ability to meet your unique needs so that you're successful? So what I want you to do is just go ahead and post this for today's reflection. Thank you very much. Bye.